This is Theoretical Thrills, the podcast where three hosts pitch original theoretical rides and attractions based on things they don't own. A special guest judge awards bronze, silver, or gold based on three separate categories: most creative, most practical, and guest's favorite. Whoever has the least amount of points at the end of the season must drive to Disneyland, touch the first gate, and drive home. With bragging rights on the line, the hosts will try to pick each other's ideas apart through gentle ribbing. So sit back, relax, and stand clear of the moving doors as we present Theoretical Thrills.
Theoretical Thrills, the theory of the thrill.
In 3, 2, fun!
I'm wearing a fez. This is Theoretical Thrills, and I'm your host, Oliver.
I'm Brad.
And I'm Spencer.
And you're here for a very special episode because we're doing Doctor Who. This is the podcast where we pitch theoretical rides and attractions to a center theme with a special guest. And this week, Tauri, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
You know, good, yeah.
Okay.
Hanging in there.
Putting up with Spencer.
Putting up with Spencer. That's the
I'm putting up with myself, too.
That's our new sitcom, Putting Up with Spencer.
I like it. I love it.
So, Tauri, we're doing Doctor Who. You're here for a specific reason. What's your relationship with Doctor Who and theme parks?
Okay, so I have been a Doctor Who fan for, what year is it? 2020? For at least 8 years. I basically binged all of New Who up till those current episodes, which are still Matt Smith, and then watched all of Matt Smith, Capaldi, and now Whittaker live. So I'd say I'm a pretty big Whovian. I mean, I definitely have my favorite Doctor, Tennant.
Who's your favorite Doctor?
Tennant, of course, the best Doctor.
It's the ninth Doctor. No.
Oh, you're one of those.
No,
I see.
Eccleston,
Oh, no.
followed by Matt Smith.
Oh,
No.
Wow.
What?
Are you
watching the same
You're just
show
showing
as
your
we
whole
are?
butt right now, huh?
Tenet is third. Well, yeah, Tenet's third.
It's
I know
okay to be
Tennant-
wrong, man. It's
I know
okay to be
Tennant is a
wrong.
doctor.
Already crushing it.
Yeah.
So
oh my gosh.
You're a Who. So you're a Who fan. What about theme parks? What's your relationship with those?
I feel like I only go to theme parks rarely now, but I grew up going to Great America up in the Bay Area. So I feel like I'm a pretty big theme park guy, though you could not force me to go to Disneyland.
Fair.
Yeah, I feel like
Right.
once you hit a certain
Via
age-
just the qualifier of you can't force me to go to Disneyland.
Yeah.
Most would look at it as an opportunity or a reward. To you, it's you couldn't force me to go.
No, because it tries to make it fun for adults. Because they're like, oh boy, you can drink in California Adventure.
That's a good Randy Savage.
Oh boy, you can drink now.
You can do this.
Sorry, Beetlejuice. Nope, no so nice.
But it's still like the same rides. Like they update the branding, but they're pretty much the same. They don't innovate too much, so it's not the place for me. I like big roller coasters. I like loop-de-loops, and I love just gross food. That's my jam.
Well, buckle up because we're here to disappoint. Because we're here to pitch you our rides and attractions based off of Doctor Who.
Right.
You're going to be looking for 3 categories today, and those categories are, Spencer?
The categories are practicality, which is a ride or attraction that you think is best suited for if Doctor Who was a park or a land, that area. Creativity, which is one that you just think is a very creative idea with no other words really to be involved in that. And your favorite, which is the one that tickles your funny bone the most, one that either makes the most sense or the one that makes the least amount of sense. It's really up to you, but whatever was your favorite of the evening.
Okay.
The one that you sit there going, yeah, I want to see that.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so that's what you're going to be listening for. We're going to each take our turns, and feel free to interrupt and ask questions because we're going to be. So, without further ado, let's get right into it with Spencer and your pitch.
Great. So I do want to preface this. I already told Tauri, but
Always a preface.
But I have never seen Doctor Who. I did a Google search to find some characters in Doctor Who to make this pitch work. Hopefully it works.
I want to be clear to our audience. We have, like, individually, we have our time. We know this topic in advance to prepare. Spencer chooses not to do his research.
I did research. I know a couple of characters that exist, and that's what my pitches are going to be based on.
You know a pop-up book's worth of information, my friend.
Correct. I would say maybe not even that much.
Brad, did you expect him to watch all of Doctor Who by the time that we watched the show?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Ambitious.
Just the new ones, but he doesn't have to watch the old ones. Just the old ones. He's still watching them.
Yeah.
So
I think there's like 7 years worth of content there.
Yeah, exactly. So on that note, I'm going to start with my first attraction, which I call the Tardis Encounter of Terror. And how this works is it's Tower of Terror meets the Alien Encounter from Disney way back before they decided to get rid of the scary things at the park and retheme it to Stitch. So how this is going to work is it also starts out as a dark ride. So you're going to start out pitch black as you enter the space. You're going to hear sounds of the doctors and the time traveling elements of the inside the TARDIS. All those things are going to happen in pitch black. So you just hear these sounds. Then you're going to get whisked away into an area where you hear the sounds of zygons, and it's going to be all the sounds that zygons make.
I'm sorry, real quick. What would that, if you had to just vaguely describe that sound, Spencer, what would that sound be?
Yeah.
It's like a pig inhaling, and then
yes,
like ready to eat its slop.
Ooh,
is how I would describe that.
Yes.
So with the Zygon, and in similar fashion to Alien Encounter, there's still in the pitch black, and everyone is so in this. Okay, let me go back for a second. And
let me just throw this idea away.
When
you're doing great.
No. When you get, thank you. When you get into the car, it's not a general dark ride car. You're actually going to be in a circular pattern similar to the seating arrangement in Alien Encounter, but on a much smaller level. So it's like a shape that's like a 180, I guess.
Okay.
So except you're going to be 360 though.
Like a U, like a horseshoe kind of thing.
Yeah, except it's going to be 360 for this because it's a ride, and it would be weird to have a 180.
Question:
kind of.
You say Alien Encounter? Alien Encounter was a show, not
Correct.
a ride.
Correct. So I it's a ride. It's a ride. I'm getting to it. I'm trying to process it in my brain as I speak it. Because it's very complicated, but very fun and simple. So the ride starts, you're in the 360 seats as if you are on a, like Tower of Terror, how you sit in the seats, except it's 360 as opposed to rows in front of each other.
Okay.
And you drive through in a dark ride element with all the sounds, quiet sounds, pitch black. And then, just like Alien Encounter, you end in this space where you hear the Zygon coming. And then the Zygon, just like in Alien Encounter, pops out and the lights flash. And it pops out in the center of your vehicle. So there's like a giant pole, the 360 to keep it there. And then it pops out and then you drop. So it's a drop tower at that point. So you're traveling through the dark ride to see the Zygon.
Wait.
Zygon pops out, you drop into this, and the whole thing is shaped like the outside of your vehicle is shaped like a TARDIS. So you're dropping down.
This vehicle?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. This vehicle, because if it's like an Alien Encounter vehicle,
TARDIS though, right?
Right. So the outside is a TARDIS. So it's go ahead.
So then,
my question is, in your research, did you read about what makes the Zygon scary?
No, they just looked really scary when I Googled the pictures.
Okay, they are very scary. The thing that makes them scary is that they can turn into whomever they please.
Oh, they're shapeshifters. Yeah, I wrote that. I literally wrote that down for my next attraction. But they're shapeshifters. So they're creepy,
your
Zygon.
next attraction.
Yeah.
Oh, you went all in on the Zygon.
Well, no, hold on. I'll get to that. So to sum this up, I can see it really well in my brain, but I can't explain it. To sum it up,
good thing you're not pitching.
You get into like a TARDIS shaped. So there's 4 walls, like a phone booth, right?
Right.
TARDIS.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Inside, you sit in seats that are 360. So I guess that's not really a circle if you're in a square.
How many people are in each vehicle?
You can fit about 24
in a vehicle. Did you look at the inside of any of the TARDIS?
So, no. So there, I just figured it's inside a phone booth. So, anyways, there's six.
But you would actually be okay with it being in a circle.
That's true. Then it's in a circle. That's fine. It's in a circle.
Yeah. It's like a original TARDIS, like with the panels.
The outside
in my mind,
an illusion.
It's actually
it's just a camouflage type thing on the outside.
Right. Okay. So it's like a time traveling machine. I get it.
Yeah.
that has a phone booth look on the outside. I did my research on that much.
Yeah.
I get that much. But I was like, this is a thing in Doctor Who. So it's outside is the phone booth, as a lot of the times the TARDIS is in the Doctor Who series.
Right.
And then in the inside, you're in a 360 pattern with 6 people. I guess if it's a circle, they can't really say how. There's 24 people total in the 360. So you get in there and you're going through, it's pitch black. There's like windows, like you can see out of in a phone booth. There's like a, screen, whatever, glass. So then, but it's not glass. So then you go through, you're moving like you do in Tower of Terror, where at the beginning it's like a dark ride element. You're moving through, you can't see anything because everyone's at different, sides, but you can hear sounds. You can hear the Doctor Who theme song or whatever is happening with Doctor Who. You can hear the Doctor Who theme song. You can hear Tennant speaking. You can hear Matt Smith speaking. You can hear different doctors speaking, 1 through 12. I don't know how many there are, but all the Doctor Who's. And then you start hearing these sounds that are creepier and creepier and creepier. And then you start hearing like this Zygon, the inhaling pig sound. And that's when the vehicle stops. And you're like, oh no, what's happening? And then you hear it and the seats start to shake, quiver a little bit. And then the Zygon pops out. Rah! And then you drop tower. And then you come back up and the Zygon is like, wah! And then you drop again. And then you come back up and then you go backwards into the darkness again, the pitch black. And that's the ride, the TARDIS Encounter of Terror. Okay. So it's a dark ride, drop tower, alien encounter experience.
Okay.
So my question is, the dark ride portion doesn't really need to actually happen if it's all just sound effects and
he
in the dark.
Literally a in the dark ride, not a dark ride.
So,
right.
Yes. However, the thing is, for people who have never been on it, it's supposed to. You're like, oh, this ride is moving. What's it going to do? And if you don't know that it's a drop tower, it's supposed to drive you to the moment where you drop. You're not just going to get on the car and drop because it's inside a building.
But you just feel that you're just in the black the entire.
Well, you hear the sounds. It's a sensory experience.
Okay.
If I were an executive to try to like, let me counter pitch.
Great.
So I like the idea of the dark ride. I like the idea of the lights coming up with every whoosh of the TARDIS. If I were to make it one change, I would change the Zygons to the silence, since they actually destroyed the TARDIS. And so then instead of like them just kind of like appearing as people in suits, like they use the holograms of the silence as like, so they start appearing, and then that's how you're like, the TARDIS is going haywire, and that's how you're getting to your drop, and then eventually the TARDIS goes out of control, and that's where your drop is.
That's a really cool idea.
That sounds like a Doctor Who ride.
Now, keep in mind, when you give points at the end, it's based off our original pitches, not the one that you just fixed.
Correct.
Although, really, the only difference is instead of the Zygons, it's the silence.
The silence.
And he explained a whole story behind why it's dropping and everything. You can see that. You have the Zygon.
What is creativity but something that inspires,
Exactly.
The person who loses.
well, here you also have to understand that for not knowing anything about Doctor Who, this is a pretty researched idea.
Yes.
All right. What's your next idea? I would say
for someone who doesn't, you know what, you're right. Go to your next one.
My next pitch is the Weeping Angels Funhouse.
Okay.
And this is a walkthrough attraction, similar to many funhouses, but in this case, there's a lot of rooms where you've seen this trope in a lot of theme parks, where it's just a bunch of like standing like mannequins. I was going to say marquees, standing mannequins that are there. But there are actual people who are dressed like weeping angels to match the mannequins that actually move around and shapeshift and change throughout scenes. They follow you through this funhouse as opposed to one where you're not followed, like in a regular haunted house with a bunch of people. But this, they can follow you because every time you go through, it's a different experience. It's not that you're going to necessarily go through and it's the same scares every time. These people can actually follow you all the way through the maze if they want. They can hide, they can shape shift in quotes in their own way. And these are going to be people who have like neutral colored body morph suits, because they can blend into the walls, they can blend into the ground, they can blend into the ceiling, they can blend in all this stuff. So it's the Weeping Angels Funhouse. I said maybe throw in some Whiffordills or like a Hall of Doctor Who at the end. Like you've survived, you can go to the Hall of Doctor Who. But I said the shapeshifters and some of the statues are played by live actors. But I was also like, maybe
he's on to something that could be absolutely incredible if you just knew how brilliant your idea was.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just simply by having the disembodied voice hurrying you through the maze, that you're just trying to find them, only to find that you're surrounded. And also,
that's a good idea.
The shape-shifting aspect of the whole thing, closer to your first villain, these are just taking the shape of these statues. So what you can do there is the idea of black and white light coming through, and with each one they come a little bit closer.
Mm-hmm.
That could be really fun. It is not a fun house. It is
the
opposite of fun.
It's a haunted house.
Right. It's a haunted house in that, like, if you go to Not Scary Farms, it's like one of those things.
It's a maze. It's a scary maze.
I also love this one technique that I want to include in this. And again, I'm not familiar with the series, so I'm not sure how to involve it. But there's this idea where it's like you're walking in like a lagoon as you're walking through the haunted house based on the way the lights are. And I kind of want to have that where it's like more of like a cemetery or like a grave or something that's like dark.
You're trying the low fog with using lasers and stuff.
Where shapeshifters, the Weeping Angels, are actually like below and they can jump up, or I kind of envision some of them like hanging from quote unquote trees or whatever.
I'm just picturing a stone statue just hanging back.
They can be swinging too. That's fine.
No, they don't move.
Here's the thing: if you look at them, they don't move. They only move when you're not looking. So the first episode they're introduced in is don't blink.
Yeah.
So it's only when you blink do they move, because you're not looking at them. So that's the thing, is you have a great premise, but some of these ideas would be better suited with a different villain than a Weeping Angel, or modifying, because they're not going to be popping out, just jumping up in front of someone. It's going to have to be a lot more planned.
Yes. I will say, though, that if you were to do it as like an escape room, for example, and so if a angel like gets you, like it's pretty much a dark strobed room, and if one gets close enough to you, then you're out and you have to get to the other side.
Ooh, that's fun.
So
it's literally just a hall. It's the ability. It's the ability to get through that maze. What would be also cool is if your fast pass or whatever bracelet you're wearing for registering your ride times chronicles your name onto the headstone as you walk in.
That'd be great.
Small little detail, because they're dead already.
No, I knew that. That's why I said a grave or a cemetery. Did you not hear me say that?
That's fair.
I did say that.
I did say that. Ignorance.
I said something from the ground.
Right.
I like it. It's a cool idea.
Yeah.
Great. And then I have one final pitch. And this one is, it's a fun one. It's a very fun one. Because why would you not have Doctor Who without Dr. Seuss's Who's? So this is called Doctor Whoville. And how this works is it's a live stage show where the Who's are in distress and they call for Doctor Who to come to Whoville and help save them. So it's a live stage show where Doctor Who visits Whoville and helps the Who save Christmas with his Whovians in tow. It's a stunt show. There's effects and all this stuff, but that's the show. It's just Doctor Who saves Christmas. Basically.
Is it set to the Who music?
What'd you say?
Is it set to the Who music?
Oh, there's Who music, there's Christmas music, there's Dr. Seuss Who music, there's all the music. There's also music from the Who, Pinball Wizard and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about the Who, not like Doctor Who, the Who.
Right. We're just throwing words that have Who in it.
Yeah. All the Who's.
It's a who's who of rides.
It's a Who.
I like the idea of a stage show, especially because there is a Christmas special. This may not be the one, though.
Here's the thing. I love the idea of Doctor Who showing up in just any show. Just like popping up like, I heard this mischief.
I think
But I also figured this could be for the kiddos and the families, because
Right.
Doctor Who could have some family-friendly things, and this is where you have that family-friendly. And you could even change it year-round. I mean, Doctor Who saves Christmas, but Doctor Who saves the Who's in July. Doctor Who saves Kansas, whatever. It doesn't matter. Doctor Who can save anything.
Here's the problem: is you're going to a Doctor Who theme park land. The last thing you want is for someone to parody it and do Dr. Seuss. Like, I'm like, oh, let's go watch this Doctor Who, and it's Dr. Seuss. What the?
Well, you know what it is. You know what it is going in. It's Doctor Whoville. That's what it is.
I mean, so my only issue,
Literally.
my only issue is that like we've
The
had
beginning, middle, and end.
an episode where he encounters a fictional character, and he's like, you can't exist, and because he's a big skeptic, so the idea of him going into a whole like tiny miniature land of fictional characters, I feel like would just blow his mind. Like, well, I guess you could frame it as, oh man, this planet saw radio waves of Dr. Seuss, and they modeled their whole civilization after Dr. Seuss. So like, okay,
Remember the Zygons from earlier?
Uh-huh.
yes, the Zygons made a colony and decided to all become Who's.
Think of it like this. You go to Woody Woodpecker's Kid Zone and you get Fievel or Curious George.
Okay.
Or, you go to you go to the Simpsons land, and there's like a ride for kids that doesn't necessarily match the rest of the theming of the.
But it's still a cartoon.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Sure.
I mean,
But Doctor Who and Dr. Seuss has had live action movies called The Cat in the Hat
That's the one you go to?
the blockbuster hit,
and The
Cat
Grinch
in the Hat.
and How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
out of all of them, out of any of the
There's only
choices
been like two.
there's a reason, because of the Cat in the Hat.
Oh yeah, I know all the details about that. But there's now a Green Eggs and Ham TV show on Netflix.
That's not the point.
Just saying.
That's also a cartoon.
But here's also the thing. Why I chose to do this pitch. One, I thought it was punny and very silly.
Yeah.
Two, it's the kids and families. But three, Doctor Who and Dr. Seuss are very big draws as far as properties are concerned. So why not throw in two properties and make your park just that much more attended?
Or,
That is
I don't
the
know,
most executive that you sounded.
have
was gonna
a
say.
separate land that is just Dr. Seuss. It feels like someone should have done this already if they had. Oh, they have.
What? No, Doctor
Islands of
Who.
Adventure, Dr.
yeah,
Seuss.
well,
So
Seuss
why
Landing.
if I want to go to Seuss Landing, if it's Seuss stuff, I'll go to
I
Seuss
mean-
Landing. If I go to Doctor Who, I want a Doctor Who land.
But like,
Right. One.
now that Oliver
One
brought
of
it
your-
up, this does seem like such an executive choice that
Don't give me
Don't
any credit.
give-
I don't want
but
my
they
name
would.
points.
They'd be like, "Oh man, all right, this is my executive voice. All right, so we're gonna have the Dr. Seuss meets the doctor, and they're gonna go doctor, and then they're going to introduce each other into each other's lines."
Two questions. One, are you the
a
guy who did
crossover.
the Ultimate Showdown?
I am not.
And two, did they have curly mustaches?
Of course. Yes,
Okay,
you
just
have
triple checking.
Yeah,
For those who are listening, Tari did a little, old school villain twirl of the curly mustache.
It's this thing. It's the yes.
yeah.
We're gonna make a theme park.
See, it's a
Get the
crossover.
kids.
It works. You get the kids, you get the not kids, you get the doctor, you get the Whovians, you get the
You would have
Whovillians, you get
so
everyone.
many pissed off fans if one of your 3 attractions that you have in this land
Uh-huh.
is a parody attraction.
Okay, so with jokes
Parodies are
aside,
popular.
Tari, do you have any questions left for Spencer with his pitches?
Oh man. I feel like the only other question, because I mentioned it earlier, what kind of food are you gonna have?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good question. So I'm gonna have a lot of different foods.
Uh-huh.
Just name one. Just give me
Um,
one.
Yeah, that's all I
well,
want.
I think we'll have like the heart of the we're gonna have a Heart of Tardis, and what it is, it's a Tardis shaped sandwich, and inside, so it's like the hole is cut out, so it's just like Tardis shape, and inside is gonna be a shepherd's pie.
Okay. Well, there you have it.
All right.
That's Spencer's pitches.
Cool.
Spencer, truly your best work.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I think it's my best Doctor Who experience I've ever had.
I could easily say I could never have pitched those.
Yeah. Did not have to worry about you stealing any of my ideas.
I think they had a lot of potential.
I didn't do Weeping Angels because I thought to myself, that seems like something that could come up. But boy, did you bring the fire.
Thank you. I really tried on these.
Yeah.
I will say, you did very well, especially for someone who has not seen the show.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Please keep that in mind at the end.
Yes, definitely.
Great.
All right, Brad.
All right.
Take it away.
All right. Now from someone who's actually seen Doctor Who.
Okay. High expectations now.
So we're going to start off. Welcome to my Doctor Who land. Now, this is going to be a very forest setting land. There's going to be plenty of trees and stuff like that because it's going to allow me to sort of hide things away, stuff like that. Specifically, the entrances to my rides. The reason for this is because each of my rides is going to have a queue that leads into a TARDIS, a different TARDIS for different doctors. So I have so I'll explain which TARDIS goes to which and stuff like that, but it's based on the doctor and their short story or stuff like that. So with that said, you're going to enter in this forest setting. And the big thing that's going to be spotted throughout this forest setting is something that I really enjoyed from Universal Studios, is the taking those statue people at the beginning of the entrance and using that same sort of concept for Weeping Angels. I think it's an easy way to have live actors throughout the thing for photo opportunities and stuff like that. And adds a little bit of creepiness so we can have a sort of the lighting based on them, and then the lights can go out so that they are allowed to move to different locations or stuff like that, or just disappear. So that one option would be fake, essentially tree trunks or fake scenery that they could then quickly hide back into to exit backstage. So that's my first little thing, just to sort of add a little bit of environment because everybody knows the Weeping Angels. Let's talk about rides. All right. I have several rides here. The first ride, you're going to enter through the Ninth Doctor's TARDIS. So you'll get to see the design of the Ninth Doctor's TARDIS. You'll get to see the sort of layout of it. You'll see some of the extra little rooms because the TARDIS is bigger on the inside. So the reason I'm doing these as queues is because I struggled to try and figure out a way to get people to be able to go inside a TARDIS that wouldn't back up because it is a phone booth size door. Like there's not a lot of space. So by having them in a line and making this part of the queue that they're weaving through and seeing it, I'm able to control it and they're able to get inside the TARDIS. So my first ride is an Are You My Mommy dark ride. All right, so this is why I chose the Ninth Doctor for this one. So Are You My Mommy is probably one of my favorite episodes and why Chris Eccleston is one of my favorite Doctors. The whole premise is it takes place during World War II, and there's a creepy kid in a gas.
One or two?
It might be one.
I think it's one.
It's
the helmets. The helmets are different.
Yeah, there's a creepy kid in a old gas mask that's Are You My Mummy? That's all he says. So I want to turn this into a dark ride, sort of going through the war as he's sort of gathering, as this kid is getting more people that you're seeing people with the gas masks and stuff like that through this dark ride. I want a lot of dark moments in this ride is the big thing.
So this is post-COVID. You're making a mask ride?
Is this a walking ride or is this like, are people on something? Also,
so you're going to be
acknowledged joke acknowledged.
Yeah. Okay. What else? You're on a vehicle. This is on a vehicle. In order to keep it sort of the World War sort of theme and stuff like that, it'd probably be something similar to looking like a Jeep or some sort of vehicle like that. You're going to go through this war zone. This characteristic of it, you're going to see these sort of "Are you my mommy?" There's going to be the big key part of this is it's got to be very audio specific. So there's going to be sort of speakers built into the vehicle, like Rip Ride Rocket, to where it's very designed so that you can have the slight creepiness of "Are you my mommy? Are you my mommy?" Like in different people's ears. So it's taking that sort of alien encounter, that sort of scary tension to it, and adding it into an actual moving dark ride. And so that's going to go with the ultimate ending in the end that the kid gets saved. So there's the happy ending at the end. And you have the line, "For once everyone's going to live." Chris Eccleston's line, as he shouts and all the people are saved. So that is my "Are You My Mummy?" dark ride. All right.
Okay. All
Next.
right.
I like
show.
it.
My fun. my fun note.
Meanwhile, in a swamp somewhere near Disney.
I think my only and this is a top note about the idea of making everyone stand in long lines, is that feels like I know that it's inherent that there will be long lines, but it sounds like you are engineering long lines for your theme park.
No, I'm designing the lines sort of like as in the Harry Potter Hogwarts land and stuff like that. It's meant for
So it's a queue experience.
It's a queue experience. It's meant for
Got it.
crowd control. It's the sort of queue experience, which brings me to actually one of my ideas that does incorporate into all of it. See, I want to make it a good queue experience.
Yeah.
And something I really enjoyed, and I've used this for Lord of the Rings, is a Star Wars concept of you can build your own sonic screwdriver.
Okay.
So you're going to one of the sort of shops. It's a whole. It's like the lightsaber thing. It's going to be a whole presentation in a Tardis. You get to go in. It's a reservation base, but you can build your own little sonic screwdriver. And the thing with this is it's going to be like the Harry Potter ones, where it's interactive. So there's going to be stuff in each of the Tardis queues that you'll be able to interact with or activate using your sonic screwdriver. And to make sure that everybody sort of gets an opportunity to be able to do them, some of them are going to be like the Mummy ride, where they're very close. You have to be close to actually be able to interact with it or see it or do something with it, because I want to make sure that people get an opportunity, because it's no fun if there's one person getting activating everything and you're just behind that person.
Right.
So this would allow everybody to sort of get that experience that wants to. So carry that into my next ride, the Tardis coaster. So the Tardis coaster is you're going to go through the queue line. This will be the queue line for the Tenant Doctor 10.
Oh, that's funny.
Something that I really want to have in this queue line is to really specify it as Tenant's Doctor is the face of Bo.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's going to be at some point in the Tardis in this queue line. I like it. We all know it's Captain Jack. We all know it's Captain Jack Harness.
Spoilers.
It's too soon.
Yeah, now I have no reason to see the show now.
But anyways, you're going to go through this, and you'll board the roller coaster. The roller coaster is going to be very reminiscent of the title sequence for Doctor Who. So you're going to have
Real quick, Spencer, if you had to guess what that might sound like.
What, the title sequence for Doctor Who?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. So I think of it as like a possible shape-shifting TARDIS
Great.
time traveling.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So it's like
the actual. I want the actual. It's sort of like Rock and Roller Coaster. I mean, it's a lot like Rock and Roller Coaster in that, except you're having the Doctor Who theme song. You're going through with the clocks and the spiral of time and stuff like that, and you can see the TARDIS fly by, and you're a part of the title screen, because I wanted a way for you to be able to ride in that chaoticness of the TARDIS without having to overcomplicate it. because otherwise you end up with a shake room or, I don't know, a drop tower. This way.
Yeah, wow. Keep in mind that attitude.
Even though we're filming at 7:41 at night, there's still so much shade.
Yeah, it's so breezy.
So that is my design for that.
Next one.
Next ride is I actually have multiple rides.
Playing for keeps this week.
My next ride is for I went 11 for the next Doctor, the 11th Doctor, Matt Smith, my second favorite. You'll go through his. One of the things you'll see in his TARDIS is handles, the Cyberman head. So you'll get to see handles, which is great, and that's going to lead you into Dalek bumper car / laser tag.
Literally, what is my pitch? Literally, the next pitch.
That's funny.
So this is going to be a sort of bumper car style, like laser tag maze, but you're in a Dalek. And every time they fire, it's exterminate. And whenever you hit someone, instead of deactivating them, it causes them to spin.
So like Buzz Lightyear, the ride.
So kind of like Men in Black. But you have more control. You're actually controlling the movement of this. You're going through. It's a bumper car ground type deal, but it's going to be more like pathways. It's not going to be just one big open circle. So it's going to be sort of like you're in a spaceship, like the tunnels of a spaceship, and there'll be wide enough so that you can have about 3 Daleks able to pass. Because you want to leave space, because otherwise, if you only have enough for just 2, someone's going to traffic jam.
Yes.
So this would allow a sort of laser tag bumper car silly experience. So that is my Dalek bumper car laser tag. My final thing is for the 12th Doctor you're going to go through. It's a very simple thing. I wanted to do a Cyberman VR experience. So taking the idea of those sort of like Star Wars VR experiences and stuff that you can do where you get the headset and you have like this whole little, it's all VR, and they sort of build out a room so you can sort of touch things and stuff like that. Same concept, except you're going to be through the eyes of a Cyberman. So your brain's been transported into a Cyberman.
I see.
And so that's going to be the sort of experience of just a fun little game playing as a Cyberman. To be
destroyed by the Doctor? Like, is this all leading up to us being like, oh no, the Doctor's a monster? So you're like a Cyberman, and you're like, I miss my family.
It's actually just the Grey's Anatomy cast.
So the reason I had chosen this for the 12th Doctor is Bob.
Okay.
I mean, so I tried to give each ride, like there's a reason I chose these characters for each ride. Finally, the last thing I have to say, it's a very small little thing, but I did have a nice little.
Get nothing this week.
I had a nice little adipose marshmallow treat stand.
Okay.
In my forest, so that is my. I did want to have a food option. That was the one that, for me, it's one of the first episodes I remember. It's hilarious and stupid.
Okay.
So an adipose little marshmallow food stand.
So,
all right.
So 7 attractions versus 3. So the odds are stacked against me in general because I had 4 less.
Hey,
don't worry.
Hold on.
You wiped out one of mine.
Hold on.
But you just added 2 more to the dock.
Hold on. How many times has there been where I only bring the 2 attractions that we discussed, that we talked about immediately? Like, we're like, at the beginning, there's only going to be 2 attractions. You're allowed to bring 2 attractions. And then every time I've shown up with 2 attractions, you guys show up with 40,000 attractions. And I'm just sitting here going like...
Everyone keeps showing up with more. That's why I brought more.
This is me now. This is my time.
I pitched theme park rides for a living, so it's not fair to you two, but that's fine.
All right.
No,
whatever.
Just rose the bar, huh?
Yeah, what a bar raise. It turns out when something's left at the ground level, you can raise the bar to something.
Yeah. I will say that I'm really sad that you didn't include the 13th Doctor.
Don't know.
The 13th Doctor is for would be an expansion zone. I didn't want to include the 13th Doctor yet because their series is still going on, and so I don't want to lock the 13th Doctor into once like a specific villain until I actually know what their one of their best stories is. So for me, like Matt Smith was between the Daleks and the Silence. The big thing I remember of Peter Capaldi is Bob with the Cybermen. That whole lovely arc. So that's what the only reason I hadn't chosen Jodie Whittaker's Doctor.
Okay.
So I was right when I said there have only been 12 Doctors so far.
No.
They had a rebirth, reborn.
So there are 13 plus, and then a 14th as the War Doctor.
Yeah, the War Doctor's a 14.
Yeah,
that was close.
And you could. It depends on how you feel about the Valeyard, but that is another.
That doesn't count.
Okay, all right. Yeah. So
we'll keep that in mind for the end.
It does. Yeah. All right. So, any questions for Brad before I jump into mine?
Not a question, just a statement of this is another executive note. For the 11th Doctor, I really would have went with Demon's Run. Like that really would have been my jam, as opposed to like a generic opening. Especially because the best opening is the 12th Doctor's because it has that amazing riff. So that would just be my specific note for that one.
All right.
A riff.
All right. Let's jump into my pitches. Now, for those of you listening, some of you have seen this happen time and time again. Spencer, Brad, and I, while we discuss the topic ahead of time, we do not know what each other is pitching until we start the cast. We have no idea what we're pitching versus them. So I end up in the third slot, which often means that Brad somehow gets my ride before me.
Including tonight.
So we're going to knock off one, and good thing I came with a backup. So let's start off
two,
with
actually.
Let's start off with food. All right. None of us mentioned jelly babies. None of us mentioned celery sprigs. There's so much food that is incorporated into the Doctor Who universe that I feel like just should be one of the focuses. River Songs Cafe would be a small area where you can get to know some of the characters that would be enjoying afternoon tea. An afternoon tea type experience with a hint of danger and excitement. So we take some things that would be some teas from different lands, different time periods, different feelings into different style cups that people could enjoy throughout their experience. Due to the fact that these cups are going to be made out of recyclable plastic, it's good for the environment and good for the long term for Earth, which is what Doctor wants.
Yeah.
So let's start there. We're going to move on to one of my wackier concepts, and I'm going to fully admit at the top of this one that it's based off of just me not understanding Doctor Who when I was a kid and then growing into it and still committing to this idea. And that is Cassandra's Bounce Court. Cassandra is a paper-thin piece of skin that's stretched out amongst a frame. And when I look at that, my brain immediately goes trampoline. So my bounce court, similar to the dodgeball bounce courts that you see at kids' fun zones, is a bunch of outlaid skin that you could jump from person to person. And every time you land, she goes, "Oh, don't do that." Or does something like that. So you hear Cassandra's voiceover as you bounce across these skins.
Okay.
It's grotesque.
Spencer's face.
I just Googled Cassandra, and that was not what I was expecting at all. She is literally like a stretchy piece of skin.
You got to spray her to keep her moist.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
She has eyeballs and a mouth. That's what terrifies me about
the oldest human.
So now picture
Delta 17. Thank you very much.
Now picture an entire bounce court of Cassandra's. So you have kids just playing and having fun, playing dodgeball. We could have some water element to it.
Yeah.
It would have some misting element. It would just be a fun old time, and Cassandra would approve.
Monster.
So we have that. So that would be Cassandra's bounce. Now,
what's her last name?
Sorry?
What's her last name?
Oh, I don't know.
What's
O'Brien?
Before we get too far away from it, your tea thing, the River Songs. tea time. Hot tea?
It themed like a diner.
Hot
like
tea?
An American diner.
Hot tea?
No, cold tea.
Why an American diner?
Based off of the episode where they're in, like, when they transfer to America and they have the comments, she's like, oh, it's so she, like, the whole way that
in
she
the whole
impersonates that.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then
Yes.
that answers my question. If it's cold tea, then I understand the plastic cup.
Yeah. I mean, and
No,
also,
I want a bunch of kids running around with scalding hot tea on bounce areas.
that's the best.
That's Doctor
That's
Who.
the idea. You gotta be dangerous.
You never know.
I also like
Yes,
it the cafe was. I feel like it was created specifically because I was like, I love food, and you were like, you want food, baby?
You would be correct,
Danger, baby. Ooh,
You would be
yeah.
correct. So let's move on to something that sorry, Spencer. Yes, question.
I was just going to ask if this Cassandra is pre or post traumatic brain injury. I guess
I would say this is Cassandra left after she transports to Rose.
her skin stretched and exploded, apparently killing her, although her brain was not seen to be destroyed. She returned to New Earth.
Yep.
Yeah.
So is it prior to New Earth or after New Earth, Cassandra? Spoiler alert, I guess, also for those who haven't.
I like that you're trying to tear apart his idea on something that doesn't matter.
It's
I'm just curious.
Cassandra. The point is if you type into Google
That
Cassandra,
image?
Oh, I
one
did.
thing's gonna pop up.
I did. I did.
Yeah. Oliver, answer the question. Is it pre-New Earth or post-New Earth? If I get on this ride,
I'm gonna say post New Earth.
How
so without the brain.
moisturized is she?
I would say damp to dry, or tumble cycle,
Okay.
maybe permanent press.
Well, keep in mind, the drier she is, the easier it is to bounce.
yes.
But the closer
Thank
she
you,
is to
Spencer.
dying and snapping.
Don't help me this time.
Are there going to be like foam themed nights? So like you're like, oh man, she's so moisturized, and everyone like is
Yeah, because nothing says
So
trampoline party like not being able to see the ground.
yeah. Okay.
Making it
Uh,
extra slick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hot tea, slick surfaces, trampolines, boxes that are bigger on the inside. It's New York's hottest club. No. So we're going to move on to something that I've actively never pitched on this show before. It's something that I tend to shy away from because I'm not as experienced with designing them or really that much involving them. But I specifically feel like it's appropriate for this, and that is the Doctor Who regeneration slide. So there is a type of water slide that was created a few years ago that incorporates a specific kind of tube, and the tube is laced with LEDs and projections. Something that immediately jumped out to me is the regeneration process that the Doctor goes through. It is not super pleasant for him, but it allows him to go through his memories of that Doctor's version of himself, as well as the other Doctors that are involved. The bathing in gold light, the idea that he expresses himself in those moments and goes through this journey. Last year at the Theo Awards, an award was given to a new kind of water slide designed by a 9-year-old. And the award was for this, basically an infinite water slide. So what happens is that once a rider is loaded into the ride itself, the ride rotates and the tube rotating keeps you going. So the idea would be is we would have this track that is played throughout, that we could hear sound bites from the different Doctors as it goes through, all the way through to the current Doctor, because she should be the output because she is the most current Doctor. But the idea being that this is a 5-minute water slide. Something that is not really experienced very often. Usually when you get on, it's really just like a one and done, you're in and out. But because we have the ability to change the projections and the LEDs on the actual slide itself, we can have more fun with the intro. So it starts off with you loading into the tube the same way that you would see at the beginning of Doctor Who, and it would lead you through the regeneration process to become a new you, or a new Who, as I like to put it.
Like laying down in a water slide?
Yeah, but truly you will not notice it.
Well, I have
For
a fear of
5
drowning,
minutes?
so
How many?
that's not happening.
In this, in the version that was created, that people, how often did people either throw up or urinate themselves?
It's a water park, so urinate is implied.
I see. Yes.
Have you considered similar concept, but maybe just putting them in a raft?
No.
I do like the idea. Like, yeah.
When does Doctor Who go in a raft?
No, like the person.
When you want to
like,
make it more accessible for everybody to be able to see everything and yet keep it safe or help people.
Fine, we put it
And
in a
that's
raft,
the
we
reason-
shape it like the TARDIS.
And that's the reason he goes to Whoville, to make it more accessible to
Shut
all
your mouth,
ages.
Spencer.
Remember, his original pitch though is you're lying down in a water slide for 5 minutes.
5 minutes. 5-minute ride.
As the track rotates.
Oh boy.
Mind you, Peter Pan, I believe, is
If that thing breaks,
is more than 5.
Peter Pan
Peter Pan's Flight?
Yeah.
Like the dark ride that's very calm and slow.
the thing that you're not like lying down in a water slide.
It's the regeneration process.
I'm sorry,
You're
can I-
covering 12 doctors.
No, you know that one time you could almost drown in Peter Pan.
Yeah.
Like
and
if
the lagoon scene.
could you imagine if this ride breaks down?
All right.
I will never go
I will
on this
say
ride.
that like the lines for that will be long. Especially if it's just the one tube, like then it'll be like,
it's,
all right,
it's
you do your
six, it's 6 outputs per spindle. So you're able
Oh.
to, you set them up in row and parallel. So you'll end up with about 20 riders on experience at a time.
Oh, okay.
So you could
That
actually
sounds-
churn them out, and then based on the way that you're letting them off of the ride itself, you could actually keep a steady flow of people.
Oh my god!
This sounds like a big lawsuit.
As I said, it won a Theo Award, and it was designed by a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
So you stole a 9-year-old's idea. Got it.
Look,
Um,
I like some of the things. The thing that gets me the most is just 5 minutes,
5 minutes
in a water, like in a tube.
Like, yeah,
Caps off.
I really don't think you're going to notice it.
how chaotic
I
is
think
it,
you
though?
are.
It's so the chaos is dependent upon how fast or slow you want the spindle to go, because keep in mind your experience is tied to 6 other people's speed.
Okay.
So what we could do is when the riders go onto it, you can change the duration of the speed based on how quickly it's spinning. We'll decide on how extreme of the slide it feels. So it can vary depending upon what part of the script you're in.
Okay.
So anybody
Again.
in that row can have control of your speed.
No, it'd be pre-programmed.
Right.
Sure. I suppose there could be some stoner just sitting off to the side like, yeah, what? And you're just like,
Welcome to Spencer's Lawsuit Park.
yeah.
What?
Look,
I don't make a Crossfire ride. I don't make a
I
ride
make
of.
one ride
Slip and
based off of
slides.
Crossfire, the board game, and all of a sudden I'm the Death Trap guy.
Well, here's the thing. You did it in the first episode. You made a Death Trap ride, and then you've consistently made Death Trap rides.
Uh-huh.
Look, I'm just staying on brand, guys.
Yeah. Every park has to have one death trap ride.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
All right, let's round it off with my final pitch here. One of the most important things, one of the key visuals with Doctor Who is the shot of the TARDIS flying over the city. The ability for the people who are on the ground to see this TARDIS flying over. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oliver, you're gonna pitch drones. It's what you always do.
That or AR.
I mean,
But-
I'm thinking that now.
Right. Except
But-
I'm not. I'm actually
Yeah.
going really old school with it. I'm going to make a TARDIS people mover.
Mm-hmm.
So these police boxes are lined up in tandem on a standard old people mover ride, except using a really cool technology. We're going to mount 4 cameras on the top of the actual box itself, projecting onto 3 sides that are LED based off of what they would see on the other side. What will happen is the people who are on the ground will not see all of these TARDISes on a wire breaking the illusion, and instead will see only one TARDIS at a time as it rotates around to the other projection sides. By doing so, you will practically make those TARDISes disappear if you're not really looking for
Yeah,
them.
you'd have to be at a very specific angle to happen to catch 2 of them
at the right time.
At the right time. Oh, yeah.
So what we would be doing is we would literally be driving a TARDIS across the park. You would see it rotate, you'd see it disappear, it would reappear a little bit further forward, and give that feel that you're hearing and seeing that TARDIS fly. It's something that I think is so unique and so specific to this type of material that I feel like it needed to be honored.
So
Yeah, those are, and so as far as the ride car itself, it is based off of that. Think of it as the windows themselves that are normally on the Tardis that would not be able to be seen through. That's part of the whole shtick. You open the door, but it's fine. Those would be popped out, or we put a film on top of it, and that's where the open air sections would be to keep people in. You'll enter it the same way the booth actually works, but once you're in, you can't fall out, which was the biggest problem with the People Mover to begin with.
Okay.
So it is a semi-sealed enclosure,
but you'll be able to see out of it. I mean, it'll be like
you'll be able to see all four sides, even the ones with the LED screens.
It's like a two-way mirror.
Yeah.
Great.
The reason I didn't pick mirrors is because of the Disney Concert Hall. A lot of people forget that when the Disney Concert Hall was first created, the buildings that were next to it started to have problems with melting windows and office furniture because the building was polished too much. So when the sun refracted off of it, it made a solar oven and cooked the buildings next door, which is why they buffed the entire building to make it that like matte coloring. So that's a lesson I've learned with mirrors and outdoor activities.
And yes, a lot of people did forget that, but also a lot of people just didn't know that fact. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
It's a fun bit that's in what's the Steve Carell spy movie made after a Mel Brooks TV show.
Get Smart.
Oh, yeah,
Smart.
Get Smart.
Thank you. It was in the Get Smart. They made reference to it in Get Smart.
I think the thing with the tar, I like the idea of the TARDIS. I do. I think it's.
Oh, thank you.
I think it's going to look better at night than it is at day.
Yeah, definitely.
I think your illusion at day is not going to be as like that impressive. And so that's the only thing is like, what can you do to improve it so that you can run it in the day and it is something impressive to look at.
Which is why I would want to use OLED mixed with camouflage tech that's already being used. It's something that was used on Ripley's Believe It or Not in the early 2000s. They showed they debuted the technology on that show, but it's basically the way they had it was on an umbrella, but there's a camera in front of it, and because the screen itself is so bright, you can still tell that there's a screen there. But for the most part, it gives you that if you're far enough back and there's enough things to look at, you're not going to immediately notice it.
Right.
So I agree. It is a problematic illusion during the day, and if it's a matter of painting or making an adaptive surface that goes to the sky and averages out the color variation, that would be one thing, but you'd have to worry about where that falls. Now, if this was a park that was in London, the assumption could be that it's going to be overcast and rainy, so you can paint it gray. You could hide the track with trees or bushes and just and have it essentially like it's above these buildings or above these trees and stuff like that, so you never actually see the track, and then it looks like the TARDIS is just flying across it.
Would the cameras or the LEDs still work if it's raining, or would they start covering it up? Okay.
No, they're it's the same concept as the screens that are in Times Square.
Okay. My final question, and then I'm done tearing apart your rides. Is
thank you.
Is Spencer? What would that TARDIS sound like as a people mover?
Oh, the one that's moving, the one that's flying.
What would Oliver's TARDIS sound like?
The flying one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. It would be like it's like like the Beam Me Up of Star Trek, where it's like
Ooh, yeah.
Yes.
It was like I was watching Doctor Who.
It's
great.
Right there.
That's just what I envision. Thank you.
All right, so those are my pitches. So, do you have any questions for me on those regard?
I mean, I do. In that, I guess, is your park big enough that because it has like two attractions and a cafe? Is it big enough to need a people mover?
That is a legit. That's actually a straight up good logistics.
No, it's a great question. It's just funny.
My theory on that is because of the way that we're building parks now, or at least we're starting to dive more into the idea of full immersion via separation.
Okay.
So, for instance, with Disney's Batuu, with some of the new lands that are going to be coming out for the new park from Universal, even down to Harry Potter, they're starting to make longer distances that cut off sight lines to allow for full immersion into the land. So no matter how big it is, the general feeling would want to be that you could walk into it, but you would want to take a TARDIS into this land.
Okay. All right.
So I would say it's a land, not a park. I would say it's part of a larger experience.
Okay.
But it's more land centric.
What does the park look like once you're inside? Like, so it looks like a city, basically, or what?
I would say it's probably modern day London, or
Okay.
at least that sort of feel to it, as like a center area with like the song cafe off to the side, and then you go into the show buildings themselves.
I see.
I thought about making it the Dickens look, but I feel like that's kind of played out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
but it would be consistent with. I mean, you're either in
No,
modern London or
here's
you're
what
in the
I'm going to
Dickens.
make a diamond wall
Right.
that you have to hit to get through, and you just have to keep hitting the diamond wall, and eventually you'll get
Right.
into the land.
Of course. That makes sense.
That's the opening ceremony.
Yeah, it's just a guy sitting there like, I am just a moment in time, comparatively to a week.
Oh boy. This is a general note for all of you guys, but none of you pitched the parks being Gallifrey, which is like the most exciting thing that you would want to go into, and it justifies the like a bunch of Tardis or like time,
Yes.
etc.
But how
Can
many doctors can you actually got to go to Gallifrey?
I know this
8.
joke.
Well, 11.
It's fair.
Yeah.
No, it's a fair note. It's like trying to build a Watchmen land without having the Mars Palace.
But that's it. That was,
Whoa. Sorry, I just looked up the parks of Gallifrey, and it's really cool.
Yeah, no, we missed. That's why he gave us the note, Spencer.
No, I was listening, but I was also confused because I didn't know what it was. But it looks like Cinderella on like crack, basically.
Cool.
yeah.
It's cool.
And at midnight, it disappears.
But
So,
who's
yeah,
midnight?
I definitely think that would be a way to actually tie it all together, is the idea of if you did make this Gallifrey and you were able to have offshoots of the different Doctors' TARDISes that lead you into miniature lands. I agree, that would be a way better way to theme it together. Unfortunately, neither us three schmucks thought of that.
I just don't think Gallifrey's seen enough in the actual show.
I don't think I've seen enough
to pull in
show.
all the audiences.
The 50th anniversary was enough of a special to be able to see it.
Right.
Yeah.
And you also there are flashbacks to it, and there you get when the master turns himself into everyone, and they bring the other Time Lords through. You kind of get a sense of like their style and their fashion and all that stuff.
I will say the performer aspect to having people walk around, one of the things that's always been so special about Doctor Who, and people have said this about Star Trek for years, about the way the aliens match in, but they go so out of their way to practically make these creatures.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's something that I would have loved to see walking around the park, is to see those different villains. But one of the things, Spencer, that you got to understand with the villains in Doctor Who specifically is that they're not just aliens; they're interpretations of things.
They're shapeshifters.
Right.
That's what I. That's what I
Not
said.
all of them are shapeshifters.
No, they're embodied concepts, is what he's saying.
They're more
Oh, I
concepts,
see.
and it's the manifestation of those concepts that create that look.
So they don't
Except
actually
for the
exist.
skin lady. She's just weird.
Cassandra.
Yeah.
O'Brien.
Yes,
Got Delta 17.
She was the concept of extreme vanity.
that's true.
Yes.
Yeah, with her 2 eyes and a mouth. It's very creepy.
I guess you could also have that if you did a recreation of that alley, the like hidden alley that you had in Peter Capaldi's run, where you had all the like aliens who were refugees from all of his like stuff.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
Yeah. And so you could have all types of aliens and like people who are dressed as aliens, and later maybe in the day you see them as a human because they have the camouflage things. So that'd be interesting. But I guess I'm supposed to only judge on your ideas and not my notes. Right?
you say like, but I guess I'll have to just judge them.
Yeah, I guess I got to deal with all these crappy ideas and not the ones
Fine.
that executive me came up with.
Let's flip over these pieces of coal.
This is why they pay me the big bills.
Spins around in a goose down chair. All right, so those are our pitches. Now, Tauri, you're going to be judging on the 3 categories. We can start off with creativity. You're going to be judging for bronze first, silver, and then gold.
Okay.
But before we do that, let's give you a full review of what we've pitched so far. Spencer, what'd you pitch?
I pitched the Tardis Encounter of Terror / the Zygon Encounter, the Weeping Angels Funhouse, Doctor Whoville, and I'm also going to throw in my off-the-cuff Heart of Tardis food item as well.
Sure, we'll allow it.
Sure.
I know it's not going to win anything, but I also just wanted to point out that I
correct.
improvised that. So also think about that. Off the cuff did it.
All right, so I'm going to go with sort of combine these. My forest setting with Weeping Angel, like living statues. My Are You My Mommy dark ride. My TARDIS coaster. My Dalek bumper car laser tag. My Cyberman VR experience. Adipose treat stand. And most importantly, the create your own sonic screwdriver experience.
That's a good one.
Okay. Oh,
Mine
Sorry.
are
mine was question.
Yeah.
About the coaster. Does it spin?
Does it like spin like this?
Yes. Does
Like
it spin?
Sidewinder? Is that the name of the one at Knott's?
Yeah.
That's one.
Sure.
No.
Okay.
No, it'll do a corkscrew and stuff like that, but it's not spinning on top of it.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Sorry. Go on.
It's not a free coaster.
And then I also had Dalek Bumper Wars, but that doesn't matter anymore. I have Cassandra's Bounce Court, River Songs Cafe, the Regeneration Infinite Slide, the 5-minute slide, and the TARDIS People Mover. Those are my ideas. Tauri, you got 3 awards to give out for creativity. What's your thought process?
Okay. So when I think of creativity, I think of, out of the box thinking, but also something that like really makes me want to be in that land and really makes me feel immersed. And so I would say that my third ranking for creativity would be the Weeping Angels Funhouse. I think it had a lot of fun potential. And I think with a little massaging, it'll get exactly where we need it to be.
Puts the fun in funeral.
Yeah.
Yep.
My silver for creativity is Cassandra's Bounce Court. And my gold is the VR experience.
Hey!
Brad takes the gold in creativity for
Cyberman
his VR
VR.
experience, putting me in silver and putting Spencer in bronze. That is creativity. I'm upset. I'm hurt. I understand it, though.
Spencer's got to watch the Cyberman episode to really understand why the VR experience is even weirder.
I still maintain he should never see the shows we talk about.
I think I want to watch an episode that Cassandra is in.
Yeah,
It's
that'll help.
a really good episode.
It's a really good episode.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
All
only
right.
one episode?
Well,
As you said, it's 2.
Sure,
let's
go with
go
me.
ahead and
I'm the
move on.
expert.
Yeah, let's move on to practicality. Now, these are ones that could be easily implemented. You could see being built. These are things that are not going to necessarily be shoot for the moon ideas, but these are ones that we could practically do realistically easily. But budget, keeping that in mind, but practical.
Okay. So for practicality, my third place goes to the Dalek bumper cars.
Hey! Yay!
I'm going to take half a point.
Nope.
My second place goes to the Tardis People Mover.
Yeah.
And my first place goes to BYO Sonic Screwdriver.
Yeah.
Because I feel like of all of them, it's the least technology specific, and like you could effectively set up shop anywhere you want.
Yep. It's a great way to flood merchandise. It's a great way to get
Oh, yeah.
a premium experience, and then on top of that, it's adding interactivity to the park, which is something that is already out there.
Yeah.
That was a solid pitch, Brad. So
Thanks.
Brad coming in with 2 gold. I'm coming in with 2 silver, and Spencer
I have 1 bronze and Spencer has 1 bronze.
and Brad.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
Correct.
All right.
I'm keeping track. I got it.
Now we're moving on to the final part, which is your favorite. This is the thing that tickled your funny bone, the thing that you just frankly want to see.
Okay. Let's see. Well, I usually dictate favorites by how much my insides moved. And so my bronze.
It's called gas.
I had that once. It was Wimes.
Yeah. My bronze is going to be the Zygon encounter because just the pitch.
Yay!
It made me laugh, and just the earnest attempt at making it a thing. Yes.
That's generally what I do, is an earnest attempt at something I have no clue about.
Okay, so then my silver for favorite goes to the regeneration slide.
Oh my gosh.
Death traps.
5 minutes. You're inside of a watery death tube. Buckle up.
No buckle. You're literally inside a water.
Correct. Correct. You are at the mercy of that thing.
And my number 1 for favorite is Dr. Whoville.
Yes!
Because it's so bonkers and dumb, and it also is something that I feel like could exist in the real world, even though it shouldn't, and I would literally go there. I would go there because of how cheap.
I hate it because so would I.
Yes, right?
Damn it.
Listen, I've learned that if I don't know about something, to just still not know about something.
You're the kid who doesn't show up to the science fair with a volcano, but says he made one and
Oh
didn't
my
want
gosh.
to show up with it.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Spencer's the one guy that enjoyed the Cat in the Hat movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Let's circle
We can
back
talk
that
about
for a
that.
second.
Later, or now.
Or now.
I got it on DVD for $1, and I was like, as a kid, I was like, this was fun. I don't know why people didn't like this movie.
You paid too much.
And then I watched it like recently, and I was like, boy, it's a lot different now that I'm an adult.
It's a highly problematic film.
Yeah.
Sure is.
So
That's
there you
okay.
have it, folks. Tari, I gotta say, out of all the people that could have judged this, you are one of them. What an upset and a damn delight. Tari, do you have anything you would like to plug? Any shows that you want to push out there that you're working on right now, or anything that you're excited about?
Yeah, I host a podcast called Missing Out. Me and my partner Lex, we introduce each other to different media, whether it be movies, music, television, spoken word, books, experiences, things that have built us up as people. And we hope that in sharing it, it kind of builds you up and you see our perspective, but also broadens your horizons.
That's incredible. I would love to check that out.
Please do.
I plan to. On behalf of all of us here at Theoretical Thrills, I want to thank you. I've been Oliver.
I've been Brad.
I've been Spencer.
And that's Tari. Have a great, safe time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Did you enjoy the episode you just watched? Feel free to like, subscribe, and share. And if you have an interpretation of an idea based on the theme of the week, feel free to tag us on social media with hashtag Theoretical Thrills, and we may feature your ride and attraction on the show.
Theoretical thrills. The theory of the thrill.